The stars stretched endlessly across the black sky, a scattered sea of light that seemed to go on forever. Captain Elias Varick stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Ardent, staring at the twinkling points of distant suns. The universe had always been full of wonders, but tonight he felt a chill in his chest that was different from the cold of space. There were stories, rumors, really circulating among traders and colonies about a species called the Luminara. Their touch was said to kill. Some claimed it could destroy life with a single contact. And yet here he was, preparing to enter their system, curiosity burning brighter than fear. The crew moved efficiently around the bridge, unaware of the thoughts spinning in Elias' mind. Lieutenant Mara Keel approached, her brow furrowed. "Captain, are we really doing this? The reports are extreme. Colonists swear she's deadly." "We go in cautiously, but we go in." From orbit, the planet radiated calm, yet every story Elias had ever heard about the Luminara screamed danger. "Scanning for life forms," Mara said, her fingers moving over the controls. "All readings indicate nothing harmful. Atmosphere is breathable, temperatures are stable, but the locals, they report deaths. Unexplained. That's why we need to see for ourselves. Fear can hide the truth." Then he saw her. A figure moved gracefully among the luminous trees, tall and elegant, her form almost transparent in the light, as if the glow of the planet passed through her. The locals had said she was deadly. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine, but it was not fear. It was fascination. There was something in her presence that pulled at him, gentle and quiet, yet impossible to ignore. "Captain sensors, she's alive, breathing movement, but there's no aggressive readings." Mara's voice trembled slightly. "They said she could kill instantly. This doesn't make sense." She stopped and tilted her head, as if she had been expecting him all along. Her eyes, glowing softly like liquid silver, met his, and for a moment the universe felt smaller. Elias felt his heart beat faster. He was a man trained to stay rational in the face of danger, yet something about this being made him feel as though every fear he had been told was irrelevant. One of the local colonists, an older man with sun-weathered skin, stepped forward hesitantly. "Captain, she kills. Everyone who touches her dies." He fell, convulsed, and died. "Everyone says it's her touch." "Captain," Mara whispered, "are you sure?" Only warmth, a soft, calming warmth that spread through Elias' hand up his arm and settled in his chest. He blinked, confused. It's not what they said. It's warm, gentle." Elias looked back at Mara, whose eyes were wide with disbelief. It's not fatal," she said softly. A gust of wind passed through the clearing, and with it came the whispers of the trees, subtle and musical, as if the forest itself was breathing in agreement. The colonists stared, stunned, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. Elias withdrew his hand slowly, not wanting to break the connection too abruptly. "We've been lied to or misunderstood," he said quietly. "This being, she's not a killer, she's something else entirely." Her eyes held an intelligence that made him feel small and enormous at the same time, like the universe had folded itself into a single gaze. The colonist muttered again, shaking his head. "Impossible. She kills. That's all there is to it. We've seen the truth with our own eyes." "Captain, should we document this?" He knew this was only the beginning. Back on the shuttle, the crew whispered among themselves. Fear had been replaced with awe, but some still trembled at the idea of what they had seen. Elias, however, felt a new determination settle in his chest. They had arrived with caution, expecting danger. Instead, they had found something miraculous. And now it was their responsibility to uncover the truth. As they lifted off, the forest below continued to glow softly, serene and untouched. Elias glanced down at the planet, realizing that stories, no matter how convincing, could never replace first-hand understanding. Humanity's courage and curiosity had brought them here, and it had opened a door that fear alone could never unlock. That night in the quiet of his quarters, Elias reviewed the sensor logs, recording every detail. The readings confirmed what he had felt. The figure emitted a subtle energy, harmonious and alive, but nothing that could harm. Yet the myth persisted in the colonists' minds. He knew that changing that perception would not be easy. Fear was stronger than truth often. And yet Elias was certain of one thing. Humanity had the ability to see beyond fear. They could discover, understand, and respect. They could face the unknown without succumbing to panic. And perhaps one day they could even teach other species that what seemed deadly at first glance could be gentle, warm, and extraordinary. As the stars passed by the shuttle's viewport, Elias felt a sense of purpose. This mission was more than exploration. It was a test of human courage and insight, and already humanity had passed the first challenge by seeing truth where others had seen only danger. Below them, the Luminara planet glowed, holding its secrets in patience, waiting for humans brave enough to understand. And Elias Varric, captain, explorer, and witness to what many had feared, knew that this was only the beginning of something far greater than any myth had promised. The shuttle cut through the misty atmosphere of the Luminara world, leaving behind the glowing forests that seemed alive with whispers and light. Captain Elias Varric sat quietly in the cockpit, reviewing the sensor logs from their first encounter. Every reading confirmed what he had felt. The being known as Saren, the Luminara, emitted a subtle energy that resonated with life itself. Nothing was harmful, nothing was fatal, yet the myths persisted among the colonists. Lieutenant Mara Keel hovered beside him, her eyes wide as she studied the data. "Captain, I still don't understand. The colonists were so certain she was deadly. Why would everyone believe something so wrong?" That's how civilizations fail to see what's real. He glanced out the viewport at the glowing world below. "We are here to show them the truth, but first we must understand it ourselves." The crew disembarked cautiously, their steps silent on the glowing grass. The first colonists to meet them had come with suspicion and fear. Old men, traders, and settlers whose lives had been shaped by stories of death now watched humans interact with the Luminara. One of them, a tall man named Harlan, shook his head repeatedly. "You don't understand. That thing kills. I've seen it." "My brother," his voice faltered, and Elias gave him a steady look. "We understand that you believe she is dangerous," Elias said calmly. "But what we've seen shows otherwise. Fear can cloud judgment. Let us show you what is truly happening." Her eyes, like liquid silver, scanned the humans, lingering on Elias as if recognizing him. The colonists stepped back, whispering anxiously. Mara whispered, "Captain, they're not going to trust us easily." Saren's eyes softened, and she allowed him to touch her hand lightly. Warmth spread through his palm and arm, gentle and calming. The colonists gasped, their fear mixing with disbelief. "See," Elias said quietly, "nothing fatal, only warmth, only calm. You have misread events. We will help you understand." Each observation confirmed the same truth. Saren's touch was not harmful, it was beneficial. One night under the soft glow of the trees, Elias sat beside Mara. "I've seen myths destroyed before," he said quietly. "But this is different. Humans have always feared what they cannot understand, yet here understanding requires courage, not strength. Do you think the colonists will believe us?" Touch was not just contact, it was connection. Each pulse of energy carried information, emotion, and awareness. A gentle touch could calm panic, heal minor injuries, or convey reassurance. Misinterpretation had led to the myths of fatality. A human unprepared for the energy might have panicked, causing accidental injury that others then attributed to the Luminara. Elias demonstrated this to the colonists. Carefully, he guided a frightened man to touch Saren's hand. The colonist trembled, expecting pain, death, or paralysis. Instead, warmth flowed through him. His expression softened. Relief replaced fear, and for a brief moment, awe took its place. This is impossible," the man whispered. "I feel calm, safe." The impossible only remains so until someone has the courage to see it. But others came, curious, observing from a distance, and slowly the truth began to ripple outward. Meanwhile, Saren herself seemed cautious but interested in the humans. She watched their experiments and interactions, learning from their reactions. She responded with subtle gestures, adjusting her energy to each individual. When a child wandered into the glowing forest, she approached without hesitation, and the child laughed, reaching out to touch her hand. The warmth radiated through the child, who clapped in delight, entirely unharmed. Elias noted every detail. Humanity's ability to approach the unknown with careful curiosity was proving invaluable. Technology could measure energy, but courage and empathy revealed its purpose. Where other species might have attacked, humans observed and learned. Where others might have fled, humans stayed. Then the first serious challenge arose. A small fire broke out near the edge of the glowing grove. Colonists panicked, shouting and running toward the fire with improvised tools. Saren seemed distressed, her energy flickering like a warning. Elias and Mara acted quickly, coordinating the humans to contain the flames without harming the grove or Saren. It was a moment of test, not of strength, but of intelligence. Humans moved with careful planning, using water pumps and controlled clearing. Saren extended her touch to assist, her energy guiding humans to the safest paths. Within minutes, the fire was extinguished and the grove was untouched. The colonists who had doubted Elias now saw something extraordinary, a collaboration between species led not by force but by understanding. Fear began to waver. Whispered rumors of death slowly gave way to tales of miraculous calm, of warmth, of connection. Elias gathered his crew and the observing colonists near the edge of the grove. "We've seen what stories have hidden from us. The Luminara is not a threat. She is a being of life, and her touch carries understanding and healing. This is what courage can discover, truth where others see only danger." "Does that mean she never killed anyone?" Saren moved quietly among them, her presence gentle, her energy soothing. Some of the colonists began to approach her, timidly at first and then with growing confidence. Mara turned to Elias. "Captain, this is incredible. Humanity's curiosity and patience, it's changing everything. But this is only the beginning. There are more myths to uncover, more truths to reveal, and humanity must be ready. Our courage and understanding are our greatest tools, not our weapons, not our strength, but our willingness to see what others cannot." Scientists recorded Saren's abilities, documenting how her touch healed minor injuries and calmed anxious animals. Engineers created safe devices to measure the subtle energy pulses she emitted. The colonists slowly participated, learning to touch her hand without fear, guided by Elias' example. Yet even as progress continued, tension lingered. Traders from neighboring systems whispered warnings, spreading fear to other colonies. Some humans questioned whether the Luminara could truly be trusted. Elias knew that proving truth to the universe would take time, patience, and consistent courage. Humanity's example must shine brighter than the fear that clouded the galaxy. One evening, as the twin moons of the planet reflected on the glowing rivers, Elias walked alone toward the grove. Saren was waiting. She extended her hand, and he took it. Warmth radiated through him, deeper and more profound than before. "You are learning," she seemed to say without words. The energy that flowed between them carried meaning and understanding. Elias felt it not just as sensation, but as insight. Humanity's courage and curiosity could uncover the truth behind any myth. He withdrew his hand slowly. "And humanity is ready to learn," he said aloud, though she could hear him in the subtle connection of thought and feeling. "Not to conquer, but to understand, not to fear, but to explore." The Luminara, the humans, the glowing trees, they existed in a delicate balance, one that could teach the universe a lesson about courage, curiosity, and the strength of understanding. As the research team returned to their base, Elias knew that challenges lay ahead. Fear still lurked in the hearts of some, and unknown dangers may yet come. But for the first time, humans had stepped into the unknown and proved that wisdom and empathy could guide them through shadows where others saw only death. The glow of the grove faded into the mist as night deepened, but the warmth remained, inside the hearts of the humans who had dared to see beyond fear. Elias watched the stars, feeling the weight and the promise of what lay ahead. Humanity's journey with the Luminara had only just begun, and already it was clear that courage, patience, and understanding could reshape the universe's perception of life itself. The days on the glowing planet stretched in a rhythm that felt both timeless and urgent. Captain Elias Varick walked through the luminous forests alongside his crew and the colonists, feeling the warmth of the land underfoot and the gentle energy that pulsed from the Luminara. Saren moved alongside them, a graceful presence of light and calm. Every step he took seemed to reinforce a truth that humans rarely faced so directly. Understanding could be stronger than fear. Elias had never felt so aware. Every sound, every movement of the trees, every subtle pulse from Saren drew him into the rhythm of the world around him. Mara Keel was beside him, recording notes on their observations, while a small group of scientists carefully documented Saren's energy patterns. It was painstaking work, but it carried an excitement beyond what any battle or exploration had given them before. "Captain," Mara whispered, glancing at the glowing figure ahead, "do you think this can really change how humans see life out here, not just the Luminara, but everything we find?" Humanity often thinks courage is in facing enemies, but real courage is in seeing the truth when everyone else fears it. That courage, combined with curiosity, makes humans capable of things other species may not even imagine. I want to understand," he said. "If what you say is true, then my fear was wrong. I don't want to be afraid anymore." Then, encouraged by Elias' calm presence, he reached out. The warmth flowed through him, gentle and reassuring. His expression softened, a weight lifting from his shoulders. I feel calm. I feel safe." They did not conquer with weapons. They connected with courage, understanding, and empathy. Over the following days, the humans continued to learn from Saren. They discovered that her touch could accelerate healing, soothe anxiety, and even harmonize the environment around her. Small plants seemed to flourish in her presence, and minor wounds healed faster on those she touched. It was subtle but undeniable. The Luminara were not merely beings of life, they were catalysts, capable of enhancing the world through connection rather than destruction. One afternoon, as Elias and Mara monitored data from their instruments, a low hum resonated through the forest. Saren paused, lifting her head. Her eyes shone more brightly than usual, and the humans felt a subtle vibration in the air. The colonists grew tense. "What is it?" one asked. Elias remained calm, studying the readings. "Something approaches. I don't know what yet, but we remain calm and observe. That is all we can do until we understand." She extended a hand toward it. The humans watched in awe as the creature's tense posture relaxed. It took a cautious step closer, then another. The warmth from Saren seemed to calm it completely. Elias realized that what humans had feared as death or danger could often be misunderstanding or instinctual misinterpretation. Other species might attack without hesitation, but humans, guided by courage and careful observation, could forge connections instead. It was a skill that required patience, empathy, and reasoning, traits that could turn potential conflict into cooperation. Later, while reviewing the data, Elias spoke to Mara. "Notice this pattern? Energy from Saren reacts differently to fear, calm, and aggression. Humans, because we approach with curiosity instead of violence, allow her energy to enhance rather than overwhelm. That is our advantage. We can turn fear into understanding, chaos into harmony." About ourselves. Moments later, a warning signal blared from the sensor array. Terk was near a cliffside, surrounded by unstable rock formations. A sudden tremor could send him tumbling into the abyss. Elias and Mara ran toward the location, but Saren was already there. Her glow pulsed steadily as she extended her hands toward the frightened colonist. The warmth of her touch seemed to stabilize him, and the vibrations of the energy subtly reinforced the rock beneath his feet. Slowly, carefully, Elias and Mara reached him and guided him back to safety. Breathless, Terk looked at them in awe. I don't know what saved me, I was sure." Courage is acting wisely despite it. You trusted her energy, and we trusted ours. Together, we turned danger into safety. Stories of Saren's touch saving a human who would have otherwise fallen added to the growing understanding. Humans were capable of bridging the gap between fear and life, and their approach could reveal truths that myths could never convey. But humanity's intelligence and courage were tested further when the sensors picked up distant movement. The readings showed multiple fast-moving ships approaching from beyond the system. They were unlike anything Elias had seen, sleek, predatory, and silent. The colonists grew tense, whispering fears of attacks or invasion. Elias studied the data carefully. "We do not know their intent yet. Do not panic. Let us observe first." Elias realized that this was a moment of test, not just for survival, but for humanity's ability to demonstrate intelligence, restraint, and understanding in the face of potential conflict. He ordered the crew to prepare communication protocols, shields, and defensive measures, but he made one thing clear. "We will not strike first. Observation first. Reason first." Humans survive not by blind aggression, but by knowing when and how to act. The Zitrax paused, reacting to the gentle pulse of her presence. Slowly, understanding began to take root. It was a triumph not of firepower, but of intelligence, patience, and empathy. Humans had demonstrated that courage could take the form of calm, that strength could be reasoned, and that understanding could prevent conflict before it began. The Zitrax, curious rather than hostile, eventually responded with cautious signals, indicating a willingness to negotiate rather than attack. Elias watched the unfolding events with quiet pride. Humanity's ability to think, learn, and act wisely in situations of fear and uncertainty was its true strength. Weapons were tools, courage and intelligence were powers. By demonstrating these traits, humans had transformed a potentially dangerous encounter into one of discovery and cooperation. That evening, the glowing forest seemed even more vibrant. Saren moved among the humans, her light mingling with their laughter, curiosity, and careful interactions. The colonists had begun to understand the profound lesson. Fear can be overcome not through violence, but through courage, understanding, and careful action. Elias stood at the edge of the grove, observing the humans and Luminara together. "We have learned much," he said quietly to Mara. But this is only the beginning. There will be more challenges, more myths to confront. And humanity must be ready, not just with technology, but with heart, mind, and spirit. That is what makes us remarkable. In the silence between the lights, Elias knew that humanity's journey with the Luminara was far from over. Yet he also knew this. Through courage, intelligence, and empathy, humans could achieve what few species dared attempt. They could uncover truth where fear ruled, bridge gaps where others fled, and demonstrate that understanding was stronger than myth. And in that quiet, glowing forest, humanity had shown its first great strength. Not in conquest, not in weapons, but in the ability to face the unknown and discover life where others had only seen death. The glow of the forest never dimmed, even as the suns dipped below the horizon. Captain Elias Varick stood at the edge of the clearing, watching the humans and colonists move among the trees with careful steps. Saren's presence radiated warmth, and the gentle pulse of her energy carried through the camp, calming anxious hearts and guiding hesitant hands. Yet Elias felt a tension in the air that he could not ignore. Reports from the sensor array indicated movement beyond the outer edges of the system. The Zitrak's ships, which had once hovered cautiously, now appeared in greater numbers, moving with precision and speed that suggested preparation for a more aggressive approach. Mara Keel approached him, her expression tense. "Captain, they're not just observing anymore. Their ships are aligning. They could attack." They had seen the Luminara's touch calm a panicked child, heal minor injuries, and harmonize the environment. Now, with the Zitrak's threat looming, they needed to trust not just Elias and the crew, but the Luminara as well. Saren moved toward the humans, her glow intensifying. Elias watched as she extended her hands, radiating warmth and calm. The colonists hesitated, then stepped forward one by one, connecting with the Luminara's energy. Fear melted into focus, panic into clarity. Together, humans and colonists prepared for whatever might come, guided not by weapons alone, but by coordination, understanding, and courage. The first wave of Zitrak's ships entered the system. Their sleek metallic hulls reflected the light of the glowing forests, and their engines hummed with a threatening resonance. Some of the colonists gasped, retreating toward the camp, but Elias stepped forward, raising his hand to calm them. "Watch carefully. Learn, we are not helpless." Mara coordinated sensor readings with precision, predicting the Zitrak's trajectory. But it was not brute force that would decide this encounter. Elias knew that humans had a unique ability to adapt, strategize, and utilize the unexpected. Saren's energy radiated outward, interacting subtly with the Zitrak's sensors. Though she did not understand their technology, her presence created disturbances in their instruments, small, almost imperceptible shifts that caused their ships to hesitate. Elias noticed immediately. "She is helping," he said quietly. "Her energy, it can disrupt their systems, but only if we coordinate carefully. This is our advantage." Using technology and careful observation, they guided the Zitrak's ships away from the glowing forests, luring them into formations that favored human strategy. At the same time, the colonists, inspired by Saren's calm and warmth, moved in organized patterns, reinforcing defensive positions. One Zitrak's ship attempted a direct attack, its weapons glowing red as it aimed at the humans. Elias gave the order for defensive shields, but Mara also directed the crew to use environmental pulses, natural vibrations of the planet amplified subtly by Saren's energy, to create interference. The ship's weapons misfired, harmlessly scattering into the mist above the trees. A cheer rose from the humans and colonists. Courage, intelligence, and cooperation had turned a moment of imminent danger into an opportunity for learning and control. Elias felt pride, but he knew the challenge was not over. The Zitraks adjusted quickly, attempting a new strategy. They deployed smaller, faster attack vessels, hoping to surround the humans and force them into panic. But humanity was prepared. Through observation, coordination, and a unique understanding of the Luminara's energy, the humans anticipated each move. Small groups acted independently yet in unison, using strategy rather than aggression to maintain their advantage. Saren extended her energy outward, brushing against each human participant in a subtle rhythm. Their focus sharpened, reactions improved, and fear diminished. Even the colonists, once paralyzed by the myths of a deadly Luminara, moved with purpose, their confidence growing with each successful maneuver. Elias directed a small team to create a decoy using reflective technology, bouncing the glow of the forests to confuse the Zitrak sensors. The aliens misread the reflection as a larger force, prompting hesitation. Humanity exploited that pause with precision guidance of defensive systems, creating safe zones for the colonists and crew to regroup. Hours passed like minutes. The humans, the colonists, and Saren worked as one, each action measured, each decision thoughtful. By nightfall, the Zitrax were forced to retreat from the forest's immediate vicinity. No human was harmed, no Luminara injured. Humanity had survived not by superior firepower, but by insight, courage, and the willingness to see patterns where others might have panicked. Elias surveyed the glowing clearing, feeling a sense of awe. "Do you see?" he asked Mara. "We did not destroy them, we did not conquer, we adapted, we learned. That is what makes us capable. That is what makes humans remarkable." The warmth that flowed into him now felt deeper, more profound. A connection not just to her, but to the forest, the colonists, and the potential of what humanity could achieve. As the Zitrax ships disappeared into the distance, the humans gathered to celebrate quietly, not with loud triumph, but with shared understanding. They had survived the encounter, but more importantly, they had learned that strategy, courage, and empathy could overcome challenges that brute force could not. Harlan, once fearful, approached Elias. "Captain, I understand now. Fear is easy. Courage takes patience. We, humans, are stronger than we believed. But strength is not just in what we can destroy. It is in what we can understand, protect, and build. Today, we demonstrated that. Remember it." They had witnessed the power of courage guided by intelligence and the gentle strength of Saren's touch. The next morning, Elias convened a council with his crew and the colonists. "We must continue to observe, to learn, and to prepare. There will be other challenges, other species who misunderstand, other myths that distort truth. But humanity has proven it can face the unknown, not recklessly, but wisely. That is our advantage. That is what will make humanity respected across the stars." Elias observed quietly, realizing that the Luminara had taught them a crucial lesson. Empathy and understanding could be powerful tools, sometimes stronger than weapons or technology. Later that day, Elias stood at the edge of the forest, gazing at the distant stars. The Zitrax ships were gone for now, but the knowledge that humanity had faced danger with intelligence and courage filled him with hope. They had shown that fear could be turned into opportunity, that understanding could prevent conflict, and that bravery came in many forms, sometimes in the choice to observe before acting, to connect before striking. "Captain," Mara said softly, coming to stand beside him, "do you think humanity will ever stop surprising the galaxy? That is what sets us apart." That night, under the twin moons reflecting in the glowing rivers, Elias knew that the future held challenges far greater than the Zitrax. But he also knew that humanity had already proven something remarkable. When faced with fear, uncertainty, or danger, they could rise above instinct and instinctive panic. They could act with reason, courage, and understanding. And in doing so, they could turn myths of death into lessons of life, fear into hope, and uncertainty into opportunity. As the stars shone above, Elias felt a quiet confidence. Humanity had shown its potential not just to survive in the cosmos, but to thrive, to connect, and to inspire. And Saren, the being once rumored to be deadly, had helped teach them that courage, intelligence, and empathy were the greatest powers of all. The glow of the forest reflected in Elias' eyes as he watched humans, colonists, and Luminara work together, proving that the stories of myth could be rewritten by understanding, that fear could be overcome by insight, and that humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or dominance, but in heart, mind, and spirit. The first light of the twin suns spread over the glowing forests, painting the Luminara world in gold and silver hues. Captain Elias Varick stood at the edge of the clearing, watching the humans, colonists, and Luminara move together with quiet harmony. The challenges of the past days, the myths, the fear, the Zitrax threat, had been met, overcome, and turned into lessons. Yet Elias knew that the final test of humanity's courage and understanding was still ahead. Reports arrived from nearby systems. Distant colonies had begun to hear the truth. Traders who had spread tales of Saren's deadly touch were being questioned, and whispers of humans demonstrating patience, intelligence, and empathy had reached other species. Some were curious, others suspicious. Elias understood that the galaxy would test humans' newfound reputation, and they needed to be ready. Myra Keel approached, her eyes bright with determination. "Captain, scouts are reporting ships from multiple directions. Some are observation vessels, some warships. They want to know what humans are capable of, and if the stories are true. Not through violence, but through courage, wisdom, and understanding. Let's make sure our actions speak louder than fear or rumor. Humanity had learned something profound. True strength lay not in destruction, but in insight, cooperation, and careful action. The first of the approaching ships entered orbit around the glowing planet. Their hulls gleamed in the light of the twin suns, and their crews peered through sensors, assessing the humans and Luminara. They were cautious, waiting to see how this species, this new player in the cosmos, would react. Elias gathered his crew and the colonists. "Remember what we've learned," he said. "Observation first, understanding always, courage in every action. Today, the galaxy watches. Today, humanity shows who we truly are." One of the alien vessels reacted aggressively, testing the humans' response. Mara quickly coordinated defensive shields, while Elias instructed certain team members to create decoys using the reflective technology and the glow of the forest. The Zitrak-style ship misread the signals, interpreting the humans as larger and more prepared than they appeared. Saren extended her energy outward, subtly interfering with their sensors, while humans and colonists worked in tandem to guide the situation. The aggressive vessel faltered, unable to interpret what it observed. Humanity had turned potential disaster into a demonstration of intelligence, calm, and strategy. The other ships watched closely. Slowly, they began responding with cautious curiosity, realizing that humans were not defined by aggression or fear, but by their ability to adapt, coordinate, and act wisely under pressure. Elias understood that this was the moment humanity had been preparing for, the moment to earn respect not through power, but through ingenuity and courage. Over the next several hours, humans conducted controlled demonstrations. They guided their interactions carefully, showing how Luminara energy could enhance understanding, coordination, and problem-solving. Colonists who had once feared Saren now helped illustrate her abilities, guiding humans and showing the harmony between species. By the end of the day, the approaching alien ships had retreated to observe from a safe distance. Reports from the galaxy began arriving in fragments. Humans demonstrate intelligence and cooperation unlike any other species. They survive through courage and wisdom. Their ability to integrate with unknown species shows remarkable adaptability. The galaxy was beginning to see what humans already knew. That strength was not only measured by force or dominance, but by intelligence, courage, empathy, and the ability to understand the unknown. That evening, the glowing forest seemed more alive than ever. Humans and colonists shared meals, stories, and laughter, while Saren moved quietly among them, her presence soothing and stabilizing. Children ran through the glowing trees, their hands brushing against the Luminara without fear, their laughter echoing like music through the mist. Harlan, the colonist who had once been paralyzed by fear, approached Elias with a calm, thoughtful expression. "Captain, I think I understand now. Humans have a way of seeing the universe that no one else does. We don't just react, we think. We observe, we connect, and because of that, we can achieve things others never imagined. Do you think the other species will ever stop underestimating us? Respect is earned through wisdom and courage. And we have discovered that humanity's greatest strength is not in what we can destroy, but in what we can understand, connect with, and protect. Remember this moment. Let it guide us as we journey into the stars. Let it remind us that courage, intelligence, and empathy are what will shape our place in the universe." Saren extended her hands, and a gentle wave of energy swept across the clearing. Everyone felt it, the warmth, the reassurance, the quiet power of connection. Myths had been shattered. Fear had been replaced by understanding. Humanity had proven its value not through force, but through insight. As the first reports reached distant colonies, humans began to receive recognition across the star systems. Other species, once fearful, began to approach with caution, curiosity, and a willingness to cooperate. Elias knew that humanity had earned not just survival, but respect. They had shown that courage combined with intelligence could overcome fear, that empathy could bridge gaps that strength alone could not, and that understanding could turn myths of death into truths of life. For Elias, the most profound lesson was simple. Humanity was remarkable not because of its weapons, speed, or numbers, but because of its ability to face the unknown with courage, patience, and insight. They had survived where others might have failed, not by brute force, but by observing, learning, and acting wisely. They had earned a place among the stars not by conquest, but by demonstrating the best of what humans could be. In the quiet of the glowing forests, Elias reflected on the journey. The myths of Saren's deadly touch had been replaced by the reality of her gentle warmth. Fear had been replaced by understanding, and humanity had proven that it could rise above instinct and panic to achieve something extraordinary. The colonists, now confident and hopeful, gathered around Saren, experiencing firsthand the truth that myths could never capture. Children laughed, adults marveled, and humans stood proudly, knowing that they had demonstrated the essence of their strength: courage guided by intelligence, empathy in action, and insight over fear. Elias looked up at the stars, the same stars he had watched when he first arrived on this world. But now he saw them differently. Humanity was no longer just a species in a vast galaxy. It was a force of understanding, curiosity, and courage. The galaxy might challenge them, myths might persist, and dangers would arise. But Elias knew humanity was ready. Their heart, mind, and spirit had already proven their worth. Saren moved beside him, her glow pulsing softly. Elias reached out and touched her hand once more. Warmth flowed through him, deeper and more reassuring than ever. It was not just the warmth of life. It was the warmth of possibility, of achievement, of the knowledge that humanity could face the unknown and shape it with courage and understanding. The night air carried a quiet hum of energy as the forest seemed to breathe in rhythm with the humans and Luminara. Elias felt a profound sense of completion. The myths had been confronted. The fears had been calmed. The truth had been revealed. And humanity had shown in every action that it was not just capable of survival, but of inspiring respect, cooperation, and awe across the stars. As the first rays of the suns touched the horizon, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity would journey farther, face greater challenges, and encounter countless unknowns. But the lessons of this world, the courage to face fear, the intelligence to observe and act wisely, and the empathy to connect with life, would guide them in every encounter. The glowing forest stood as a testament to what had been achieved. Humans, colonists, and Luminara together had proven that myths could be rewritten, fear could be overcome, and understanding could transform the universe. Humanity's place among the stars was not just a matter of existence, it was a matter of honor, courage, and wisdom. Elias turned to Mara and the crew. "We have done more than survive. We have shown that humanity can face the unknown and come away stronger. Remember this. Let it guide every step we take. The galaxy will see us not as threats, but as beings capable of courage, intelligence, and empathy. And that is our greatest strength." Above them, the stars stretched endlessly, a reminder that the universe was vast, full of mystery, and waiting for those brave enough to face it. And humanity, for the first time in full clarity, knew that it was ready.